So another issue we've had with this thing is when you turn on these warning lights, see the ambers flash, I open the door, the red lights come on, alright? Now I close the door, and the ambers go back to flashing. So this is just opening and closing the door. Open the door, well that's not going to show the reds, but they are flashing. You can see there in the mirror, alright? And then you close the door, the ambers flash. So I think there's something wrong with this flasher unit, so we're going to go ahead and swap it out with one of these Blue Bird electronic units. So there's the old flasher unit. This has relays right there. And sorry, the sun's bright, so we're just going to swap it out. And it's pretty easy because this is all labeled with everything that's on there, and the same with this, all labeled on the side, so we know how to just move the pins over, and then we got to remount this, of course. But alright, there's the old unit, the new flasher unit all installed. I did a little couple wiring fixes while I had it all apart. Nope, the red lights are on because the door closed, but the door was open. Close the door, and they go off like they're supposed to. Hit that, open the door, switches to reds. And I got those LEDs, so this light matter doesn't work anymore. Well, I got these Blue Bird mud flaps installed here. So up here on the right side of the bus, there is a bracket already here for mounting a mud flap, and it looks like it just had, well, it was set up for just one small mud flap, but I added the full Blue Bird one across the top, so I had to drill holes in here and put some bolts in. Now this side was a little different because there's not really a bracket here because the battery box is right here. So I just mounted this right to the battery box, drilled some holes. In fact, I started the bus, turned the wheels, that way I had room to actually get in there with the drill and drill these holes. And then I used the 2x4 technique as far as setting my level and setting the level how high I wanted these mud flaps as far as keeping them level with the ground too. After I got that set, I set up some seat clamps. This side I could only do one C-clamp because of the battery box, but there's the bolts that come through here. There's some light. And you can see the other bolts, they just go through here and they don't interfere with anything. But I could only use the one C-clamp on this side because of the battery box. The other side I was able to clamp both sides to get it in place to mark where I needed to drill holes, and drilled away. Interesting thing about this bus is the battery box is right up to the wheel well, so there's no room for an actual bracket. But when you come over here to look at bus 68, which is a 98 TC, a few years newer, the battery box is back further, and then this one actually has a bracket for full width mud flaps on it. I think that looks pretty sweet, having the Blue Bird mud flaps, all four corners. Alright, I'm going to do a couple seat repairs on here now. I got the seat bottom off of here. Well, no, I'm sorry, this is the one that came off here, but I just changed this one too because this is a pleated seat. It has this black pleat on it, as you can see here, whereas this one does not. See the black pleat on the edge? Nothing. Well, anyway, we got a rip here. So I'm going to go ahead and replace this seat back. We'll start by pulling out all these staples. Alright, get this row of staples out. Oh, you got another to do right there underneath. I got the seat back off. This is that ripped one. I'm going to go ahead and put a new seat back on. Actually, the pad is in here. I pulled the pad off and I'm putting a new pad on. This is the updated, thicker one that's going to go on here because they get worn right here on these sides because kids and everybody grab onto these when they walk by. So anyway, I just threw a new pad on. You could just switch these left to right and that takes care of the worn because it puts the worn on the inside where it doesn't really matter. But well, I just threw a new one on. I've got extras here. So. Oh, look at this. I left the door open for one day and we got a bird nest in here. Alright, so here's something else we want to change on this thing. Years ago when I first bought this bus, this temp gauge here would always read too high. When I drove it home, it would read too high. It was up here right in between the yellow and the red, and I'm like, I don't think that's right. Because it's got a 180 thermostat in it. And so it wouldn't read right. So what I did was I found this gauge at a boating supply store, and it's the same matching Teleflex Yellow International series like the rest of these gauges. I put this in. The bezel here is a little different, but other than that, the gauge works. I had to change the sending unit because the range in this one is 100 to 240, whereas this one is 100 to 260. So what I think I'm going to do is I've got another gauge set here. I think I'm just going to swap the whole gauge set. It's real easy. Just the harness plugs into it and you swap the whole gauge out. And then, so we're going to get rid of this gauge and go back to using this gauge because I think this gauge is bad, but I have to change the sending unit, which is what this is in the bag here. There's a sending unit, and that just threads in the thermostat housing. Now that's going to leave us with a hole here, and I found we got a trans oil temperature gauge. Now this bus does have like a generic harness that has extra wiring in it. That's how I wired in the ammeter here. If this did come with you know, a factory ammeter, that's where it would be. If it came factory with the trans temp gauge, that would actually be up here. Actually, these gauges would be up centered with these, but I didn't know that when I put this gauge in, so that's why I put it down towards the corner. What would go here would be an air pressure gauge if this thing had air brakes, and if the other option would have been an hour meter could have went here. And I thought about installing that, but I thought that's kind of silly because that ain't even going to match. I mean, the miles don't match here, but I'm thinking about, that's another thing I was thinking about doing, is I got, this other gauge set here. These are gauges that were added to this one, but I was thinking about changing this speedometer because this is really close to how many miles are actually on the bus if you add a 1. It's, I just looked it up, and it's, in all actuality, it's like 175,800 miles, something like that. And if this one was just up a little higher, I'm thinking about spinning it, hook it to a drill, and crank it up another 1,000 miles, and that way I'll know the true miles in this thing would be 100,000 off from what this one is. That's easier than having to calculate from when I change the miles and the odometer and blah blah blah. So I think we're going to try that. Alright, I got this all switched around. I still got to change that sending unit. I did go ahead and change these bulbs to LED. Well, that one's only working at some point. It's just a little loose back there, but anyway, got those all working. I found even this voltmeter was a little lazy, I think, on this gauge here, and this might be a little crooked. I might straighten that up just a little bit yet. But anyway, when you turn the key on, 12 volts, start it. This one actually goes right up to 14, whereas the other one was going about 13. So I think that gauge was lazy, and that one was lazy, and that one I still got to change the sending unit on so it'll work. Then I got to wire this thing up to a sending unit at some point, but so it's just dummy wired in here right now. This is what that sending unit looks like, and it is. I'm gonna get the headlight out the way. Here, let's try that. There we go. All right, there's the sending unit right there. Yeah, unlatch that wire, take this out, and slap that new one in there. Alright, there's the new sending unit all installed. Focus, John, focus. There you go. Well, here's an odd one. The lights are working on the monitor. One of the ambers is out, so investigate that. Alright, we got us an extra here to try. Yeah, this old one doesn't sound good. Probably fried. That don't make no sense. That one on the left there's a bit faded, but whatever, it works. Alright, well this bulb's no good, but I'm going to save the lens because it's pretty okay. Anyway, the screws, I was having trouble getting them out. There's all kind of dirt dabber nests in these. So I just took the angle grinder and cut-off wheel and just cut off the where the threads are on the back here. So hopefully they'll come out. There we go. I'll just chunk this bulb, actually the whole bulb on the base. We'll just save this lens. So when I was down here earlier, I found another issue. So you can see back here the frame's dry, and then when you get up here the frame is wet. I'm like, what is this all about? Got a little bit of wetness here running down the brake line, but that is not brake fluid. That's actually coming from up here from the fuel lines, and this fuel line is actually a little cracky up there, and it's kind of seeping fuel, and I'm thinking that's probably why this thing harder to start. when it's cold. It's losing its prime or whatever, so it's got to prime some fuel up there. So I'm probably going to have to replace that line. Not really sure how this comes apart with that. We've got this goofy little fitting thing here. If you just take that out or what? Focus, John. There we go. I don't know what that cap fitting in there, how that comes out, or we'll figure it out at some point. Well, it's on my list of things to do. Check out that sweet caliper. So here's another thing that I found I already fixed up. You can see there's rub marks right there on that shock. And that bracket there that holds the brake lines, that was rubbing against the shock. I thought, man, what is that all about? So I thought, what do we got going on here besides awesome new calipers and flex lines? Well, I thought, is this bracket broken or something that it was rubbing on the shock right here? And I have already fixed this, but what happened was, this is so rusty, it rust jacked and pushed this bracket backwards, which is causing this thing to rub. It's causing that to rub right there on the shock. It pushed it back that far. No real damage done. I don't think it's been rubbing that long. But anyway, I took this bolt out. I was unable to get this bolt out on this side because it's so, the metal's so pushed in there and nuts kind of round, or bolts kind of rounded off. I did heat it up with a torch, and I don't know, if you want to get that small bolt out, probably need to weld another nut on there so you can get onto it. But I just took this one side out and I was able to get the bracket moved and chip out a bunch of the rust, and then put it back on and bent it a little bit. I heated up the bracket with a propane torch and just moved it a little bit. But now we got a good inch or so of clearance, so I don't think that'll be an issue again. At least not for the next, well, 30 years of this thing's life. Whew. She's rusty. Actually, the reason I came back here is you can see this tire squatting quite a bit compared to the other one. I'm like, what's that all about? Then I came back here and found, yeah, this tire has come apart and it's flat. Flat. So it's junk. It's an old Goodyear Unisteel TD. I think this tire's probably at least 20 years old, so I got a bad one, so that's gonna have to get changed, and yeah, we'll do a video on that if I can find a cameraman to help me do it. The joys of owning an old bus. Nah, just kidding, it's fun. You really want to see where this tire is bad, that's what a zipper rip looks like. Funny thing is, this happened while this thing was sitting here, and we must not have been home when it came apart like that, because you would have heard it, and I didn't hear nothing. And this tire, yeah. Well, here's a little more fun for you. The engine stop light here didn't work. Focus, John, focus. There you go. Anyway, this didn't work, and old Texas Street Man there, he fixed his engine stop light in one of his buses. Maybe both of them, I don't know. At least one of them. And I thought, wow, this one doesn't work. I think I'm going to see about fixing it. And I took it apart, and the bulb is not changeable because it's glued in there and wired in there, blah, blah, blah. This one doesn't work. And I thought, what am I going to do to get one of these? I found them online for 20 bucks. Or I noticed these look like the same thing. You probably could just swap out the lens if these would work in this gauge set. This one's engine warning. This is a low coolant light. This engine warning light does not work. This one, however, when I tried it, did work, and I found you can just pull out this little lens and swap it. So we're going to do that, and then this will work. There you go, Texas Street Man. I didn't have real good access to that light, so I just cut this out. But I did find there is access down here. Yeah, you probably can't see that. There you go, there's a better view of them wires. I just crimped and heat shrunk those. Alright, well, because those wires are a little bit longer now, I just zip tied them up there out of the way. And this light comes on with the engine stop. Here you go. Wham bam. There you go, Texas Street Man. Well, I still got a few more things to tidy up, but I think in the next video we'll take this thing for a test ride. You only need 4 tires, 1 in each corner, and well, you got 5 tires, so that's more than what we need. We'll see you in the next one.